Good morning and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this section on Introduction to Basic Business Productivity Software, knowing which tools to use and when to use them. All right, and this unit is something that, although is not directly required in the state guide, right? It's something I decided to throw in and then tie it in with the state guide because I found that common middle school students struggled with some of the things that I want to bring up in this lesson. I'll give you an example, okay? I've had students in the past that when they were tasked with loading up software and writing a friendly letter, the first thing they would do would be pulling up Google Slides and start typing and drawing a text box and then try to do the letter in there. Okay, and my first thought was, okay, although you are definitely writing words in, okay, is that the best method for this intended software? Or in other words, is that what the software that you are using, did they intend that to be used for this when they designed it? Okay, and the answer to that, of course, was no, not in that case, right? So it's really good to know which software applications to look at and when to use them, so on and so forth. Now, I can't look at a comprehensive thing and say, okay, to use a database, you need this. To build a video, you need this, right? No, we're going to look at a basic office productivity software, which deals with word processors, which deals with presenting information on slides, and which looks at spreadsheets, because spreadsheets are something that's used to look at and evaluate data with. And we're going to explore that in more details here. All right, so going into our first set of standards. All right, the big idea. Identify which Microsoft, that's what MS stands for. Anytime you see MS, it's not Mrs., okay, or Miss, it's Microsoft. Office program or Google application should be used to communicate certain information and data. All right, properly. That's the key. That was easy. All right. So in other words, when do you use the stuff? All right. When is the right time to use a software application? When Mr. C assigns you to write a letter, which software application should you load? When he says, okay, let's make a visual presentation, which software application should you load? Okay. You'll need to know that for the workforce, right? If you're trying to do something, okay, you want to make sure that you're using the right software for the right piece of, right project that you're working on. Okay. Our essential questions, here's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at what are some basic business productivity software and which applications should be used for certain business situations. Makes sense, right? A spreadsheet, although you could input text, is not designed to write a word-based document or create a newsletter, okay, or a newspaper article, okay? It's made for something else. Now, you might use that data in a visual presentation. You might print something out that has some information on it. So when do you use this stuff? You know, because it's confusing. When I need a graph, what do I use to create the graph? When I need a chart, what do I need to do that with? When I make a presentation, what do I need? Do I need to use all three? What's going on here, Mr. C? I'm so confused. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at some software programs that might be used by various employers. Not all, okay? Let me tell you, okay, if you're working at a fast food restaurant, okay, you are not going to probably be using spreadsheets, all right, at the standard level. They're going to have stuff that they use specifically for that restaurant. However, if you're working for a small mom and pop business, right, you might be using various types of software. Some of these might be used. In your personal business, in your personal endeavors, right? Endeavors mean your personal ventures, right? You might be using some of these software platforms and applications. While you're in school, you're trying to communicate information, you might be using these. And you've probably already used some of these, right? But we can't assume something, okay? We can't just assume that we all know. So I guarantee you that there's going to be some people in this class that this is the first time they've ever heard this, and this could be like the most amazing thing ever, and their mind is blown, right? Other people are going to be in the classroom going, Mr. C, this is boring, okay? I already know this stuff. That's fine. And there are going to be some people that go, well, I kind of sort of knew that, but now after Mr. C said this, it makes absolute sense. Okay? Pretty simple. All right. Now, our 8th grade, we're not in the 8th grade, we're not going to worry about this. All right, so here we go. Word processors. What exactly is a word processor and what do they do? Okay? Well, the idea of word processor roots all the way back to the first essentially personal computers, right? And they were used for creating text, using text, so on and so forth, right? They were built as a replacement for typewriters, okay? So they called them word processors. It was a powerful, powerful typewriter. And it had things on there like basic spell check, nothing like we have today, okay? And it had basic things on there like, hey, there's a period here. Are you sure you don't want to use a capital letter on the next item? So on and so forth, okay? So these word processors did exactly what they sounded like. They processed written words, all right? Written words, the written language, okay? Not the speaking language, the written language, all right? So word processors then are software which allows users, who's the user? We learned this back in the computer hardware, right? You're the user, the person who's using the information, right? Allows users to quickly and efficiently write, edit, and manipulate text-based documents. Mr. C, what's all of those fancy words mean? Okay, well, write, we know what it is to write, to compose. All right, you're not physically taking your pen out and writing something. Hold on, Mr. C, you're wrong, because I can take my app and I can write things and it recognizes it. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about PC applications today, okay? To edit those documents after you write them, all right? Is everything going to be written correctly the first time you input it in? No, it'll need some editing, right? And then manipulate, in other words, to change text-based documents. Now, think about what we use text-based documents for, right? We use text-based documents to, well, Mr. C, take a time out. If you're in the classroom right now, Mr. C, stop the video and ask the students what we use or what some examples of text-based documents might be. All right, I'm going to give you a pause. All right, good job. So yes, we use anything that deals with text, right? If you're writing a novel, right, word processor, probably going to be using that. If you're writing a newspaper article, word processor. If you're writing a blog, word processor first, right? And so on and so forth. Anything dealing with text, that could be letters, any form of written communication, okay? Even if it's email, you might choose to compose it on the word processor first. It's up to you, okay? And some could argue that Gmail has that word processor built in. That's fine. It's still a word processor, right? Now, some examples of commonly used word processors include, here we go. You ready for that? Google Docs, Microsoft Word, okay, word processor, okay? Google Docs. Now, here's the cool thing about Google Docs, okay? Google Docs is the accepted free software, okay? Open source usually means free, okay? You'll hear that word open source, and Mr. C might say open source. Usually means it's free, right? So Google Docs is free with anybody that has a Gmail account or a Google account. So if you use Gmail, okay, you have access to Google Docs, and that's a free word processor. All you got to do is type in docs.google.com, and it takes you straight to it. Mr. C, you can just type in DOCS, and it'll take you there too. That's fine. 5 different ways to get to Rome. They all get there, right? There you go, all right? So it's free, right? Other examples include Open Office Writer, okay, for somebody who doesn't want to use Gmail or Google stuff, that's fine. You got WordPerfect, okay, you got CorelWrite, Ragtime. All of those are very, very good at what they do. Now, the accepted standard is Word found in Microsoft Office. Microsoft Office is a suite or a bundle of software. Huh? Mr. C, I never licked the computer, and it definitely was not sweet. Not the suite I'm talking about, right? All right, the suite that I'm talking about is like things that are bundled in, okay? Example, a suite might be, okay, you click up one application, you got a lot of different applications to choose from, okay? It's called a suite, okay? Pretty easy, S-W-I-T-E. I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Not S-W. S-U-I-T-E. That's swipe. Yeah, it's the same thing. Okay, there you go. All right. So yeah, suite of software. Okay. So the current accepted standard is Microsoft Word. Now, usually, if you get a bundled software like Microsoft Office, okay, you'll get like Word and multiple other applications, and we'll talk a little bit about that later on. Right. So the current accepted standard is Microsoft Word, and I would say that it is the most powerful version that's out there, the most powerful word processor, okay? They put a lot of time and money into Microsoft Word to make sure it's good. And believe y'all me, it is good, okay? And so more and more users, though, are migrating or moving towards Google Docs. Why? Because everybody likes free, okay? There you go, all right? So word processors, the big takeaway, if you are writing something that uses text, you're going to use a word processor. So if Mr. C asks you to turn something in that's a letter or a paragraph or something equivocal, you're going to jump and load your word processor, your Google Docs, okay? All right, simple enough. Next one, spreadsheets. Mr. C, is that something you put on your bed before you and after you do the laundry? No. All right, spreadsheets. Spreadsheets are a electronic document for data, okay? And basically, it works by arranging information in rows and columns. Rows and columns. Let me give you an example, all right? All right, you can't see the names on here, okay? But if you look closely, you will see that I have names from this attendance roll, all neat, orderly in rows, right? Now, if I wanted to document information, I could put little lines through here, right? And then it would look like a grade book. We've all seen a grade book before, right? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a spreadsheet. I can look up information. I can look up data. I can see what Susie made on her test, what she made on her assignments, if somebody turned their work in on a certain date. Yes, that's data. That's information, okay? Is it limited to grades? Absolutely not. I can find out and get data for anything that I wanted to, right? So the cool thing about spreadsheets is spreadsheets are a single sheet electric document arranged with data in rows and columns, like a grid. We just talked about that, right? The data, once it's on there, can easily be seen, changed, manipulated, processed, right? They are usually used for making calculations, okay? And they can also be used for inputting and assessing raw data. They can look at trends, statistics, and complex statistics too, right? I'm not talking about what are the chances of running a 1 on a pair of dice with 6 sides. That's not the kind of statistics I'm talking about. I'm talking like future forecasting and so on and so forth. A lot of good information, all right, that are on there, right? Now, again, in the Google Office or the Google bundle, okay, you get Google Sheets. Get it? Spreadsheets, Google Sheets. Okay, spreadsheets, Google Sheets. By the way, this is going to appear on the final. All right, so it's good to know that, right? So yeah, they're free with our Google student accounts, just like Docs is. Other examples of spreadsheet software include Lotus 123, Corel Calculate, Plan Maker, Ability, and then Open Office Math. Why they call it math? Because that's what you're doing. You're doing data and math, okay? Now, the current accepted standard is Microsoft Excel, which is vastly more superior and powerful compared to to Google Sheets. However, people and users are happy using simple calculations. That's why they gravitate or move towards Google Sheets. All right. So there we go. So we've got word processors for text-based documents. You got spreadsheets with rows and columns for data. Right. Now, if you wanted to present information to people, right? Check out what I'm doing right now. Are you being presented something, right? With a video, right? Either on your PC, on your desktop, on your smart device, in the classroom. But what's in the background? Okay, I got some words here. Those words had to appear somewhere. That's right. I used presentation software to create those words and those bullet points and all that kind of good stuff, right? That's presentation software, okay? I am showing, I'm exhibiting, I'm introducing, I'm pointing out, offering, demonstrating through visually accessible mediums. Yeah, right? So I'm making a presentation here, okay? Now, the cool thing is if I wanted to record my voice and not have my video on here, I could do it, right? If I want to just post a video in there, I can do it. If I wanted to post an audio clip, I can do it. I can make a visual presentation of anything I wanted to, as long as it can be represented visually, all right? So there you go, okay? I'm presenting the information to you, okay? This is a really good thing to know for like various presentations at any time. And there's so many different examples for this. It's just mind-blowing, right? Especially in sales and selling value and being an expert on something or going in to teach something or show somebody something or making a sales presentation or, you get the idea, okay? So there you go. So some examples include Google Slides. That sounds familiar, right? Because, you use slides to make slides, okay? And we'll talk about that another day. And that is free with our Google accounts. We like that free stuff, right? All right, so again, wait a minute. Okay, you also got Corel Presenter, PreziPro, Power Presentation, Media Shout, OpenOffice Impress, okay? And the current accepted standard is Microsoft Office, okay? Slides and Office, very, very powerful tools, all right? And again, more and more users are migrating or going towards slides, all right? So to summarize things, right? If I wanted to create something for text-based documents, I would use what? I would use a word processor. If I wanted to create something for visually accessible mediums, right, I would use presentation software. And then if I wanted to look at data and information in the rows and columns of a grid, I would look at Spreadsheet or a spreadsheet program. All right, that brings me to the end of this lesson. And there's not really going to be a second part of this because the second part would just demonstrate this in other methods and means, right? And we can do that in the classroom. You don't need me to do all that kind of mess, right? So that'll conclude this video. So on these activities, make sure you just do some simple matching, right? There is a part 1. And then, of course, we got a quick summary here. And you know what? I'm just going to go over the quick summary right now just because, right? All right, so the tool that we will use here in the business lab. Here's what we're going to use. We're either going to use Microsoft Word or Google Docs. Okay? That's it. Microsoft Word or Google Docs. Given that we're more online right now, right? We're using Google Docs. If that changes in the future or the program that I'm teaching requires me to teach something else, we'll move to that. All right? But right now, Google Docs, Microsoft Word. Okay? The tool we will use to create, edit, and modify spreadsheets in the classroom, verify raw data, which we probably won't actually do in the classroom, okay, because that's really, really complex and make your head explode, all right, is going to be Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets. And then, of course, the tool we will use to efficiently create, edit, modify visual presentations is either PowerPoint or Google Slides. Okay, there you go. All right, y'all. That brings me to the end of this lesson. And looky there, I did it in less than 17 minutes. Woohoo! We are done.